Peace, y'all. First, let me start off by saying for healing purposes and for awareness purposes, this is not for fear-mongering, because as I'm reading and understanding, brainwashing and mind control and MK Ultra and its connection with LSD, and with these movies, Mulholland Drive and Eyes Wide Shut, but Mulholland Drive for sure, bringing up for, awareness and educational purposes, because these movies, especially this one, is so condensed with so much of the actual programming and things that they do for social engineering or MK Ultra or mind control, that even watching it, could possibly I put it like this, and that's with anything, so let's just start off with that. Anything, you gotta be aware if something is being programmed. But definitely with Mulholland Drive, out of most things I've watched, I felt like this showed a true insight of how subtle, the subtleties of mind control, and how it's basically a sped up version of distraction and then suggestion. Distraction and suggestion. Again, how I brought up that example about subconscious programming. For one, with Get Out, where it's the distraction was her, talking about whatever and stirring a spoon. And then the suggestion was coming in right behind it. Again, it's like a 1-2 punch, almost like they both one and the same, and you notice this with street magicians or any type of person who doing illusionist work, where they talking a lot and moving their hands a lot. Now, all right, this and that, we're gonna do this and all that is to catch your conscious mind, to get the attention of your conscious mind, so that the subconscious programming could go in, But, as I'm bringing up that again, but watching this movie could be very educational from the perspective of seeing how, these mind control aspects could be implemented. And also, after watching it, I kind of got a different perspective of, how clones are made, because, and literally in this book, it gets into the other programming of movies where, from movie programming of seeing, clones being shown from a perspective of them being in a lab creating clones. You would only think about clones from that perspective, but it's also from clones being created through subconscious programming, and this could be programming and making clones at a distance. I could create a super soldier at a distance with this type of programming. I put something on TV, I turn the person sitting down on their sofa into one of my soldiers. You know what I'm saying? So this is, again, something to strongly be aware of. But with any and everything, it's focusing on the solutions. It's awareness of the problem, focus on solutions. And understanding how could, some of these gestures and things be implemented into our realm for positive, positive mind control, in the sense of, again, positive mind control we do on ourselves every day with our affirmations, with certain routines, and things of this nature. Again, the subconscious is programmed through trauma, repetition, and symbols, and seeing how, again, we do this in each other's lives, You come across somebody or people come across you, and there's a certain food you eat. And when that person meets you or deal with you and they see you eating that food a lot, and then when they go other places and they see people eating that food you like, it automatically pops up in their mind of thinking about you. And thinking about you automatically causes a certain emotion. And that emotion and that thought, if they're not aware, could cause them to take a certain action, And just seeing the chain, of how that works. But and also, spoiler alert and awareness alert, though, with watching Mulholland Drive or eyes wide shut is if you have trust issues or dealt with like not knowing who to trust, or you know what I'm saying, like a lot of deceptive energies and behaviors, you know, in your life, you know, definitely be aware to, you know, you possibly may not want to watch Mulholland Drive, or because that's, again, and that's why I'm like, yeah, it's that real, you know what I'm saying, especially Mulholland Drive. And again, as much as they would allow to be shown, you know, straightforward on that level, but again, hence why it's also allowed, because it could also possibly program you into a certain energy if you're not aware. So it's like a double-edged sword, is exposing, and that's talked about, like how exposing themselves is also an initiation to also bring in those who aren't aware, you know what I'm saying? Like you getting exposed to this, like say for instance, now you know that this type of stuff goes on. If you're not aware, to not be fear-mongered about it, you know what I'm saying, you could fear-monger yourself into creating the situation, you know what I'm saying? So that's why, again, having awareness with tapping in with any of this, but, and even speak on it in this connection with like ancient aspects, again, dealing with subliminal communication and how it's, you know, embedded in modern advertisement, films, and music, you know. You know, and even with music, you know, that's why they call a hook, because it's repetition, repeated, you know, to hook you in. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, definitely. Yeah, just on a psychological and esoteric level, and also spoiler alert / you know, awareness. You know, if you're not into like, you know, kind of somewhat of a dark satire of like, you know, movies and stuff like that, then you probably don't want to watch none of these movies, you know what I'm saying? Like if you like for your movies to always stay in a cheerful, upbeat, you know, type of vibe, then these movies are not for you. But it's like with anything, like doing your own inner subconscious work, sometimes we have to face certain things that, you know, may be dark in essence in order to really, you know, see the light in essence. So, you know, there's always that aspect, but, you know, definitely something to be aware of. And again, bro, this book is, again, tying in all the little connections. Like, yeah, this book is very, very fire. And a lot of the references, matter of fact, it's talking about The Shining. And again, we're tying philosophy and ancient wisdom, you know, seeing how all that's connected, and knowing who certain directors, you know, liked it to base their work off of, you know what I'm saying, who they admired. But yeah, that's definitely, again, wait, that's the brethren who said to start the quote-unquote Illuminati, huh? So, oh no, but I remember that Wilhelm name. And again, right now, because I had to ask myself, you know, am I staying in the past by still pointing out, you know, this energy and stuff like that? But it's like, you know, it's necessary, because it's still, you know, it's not spoken on a lot, you know. And yet this is where the real quote-unquote war is. It's not about trying to fight, you know, against the military. It's, you know, it's about understanding this battle, you know, the silent war of programming people's subconscious. That way you become a slave or robotic or a clone without you even knowing, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that awareness is key. If more people knew the importance of this, it would be less programming, you know, from a distance, you know. But y'all know what it is. Now's the vibe break. and check out the politics list and the subconscious programming list on my YouTube channel. Just, to evidence of how these things is not conspiracies, for one, when you got evidence, lining it up. And to throw this out the window too, if you are somebody who brings up truth or brings up certain, let's just say, insight, and it has references and sciences that could prove its truth, if you're expressing that truth, nobody could ever come up to you and express that you are being a conspiracy theorist without any form of evidence. Because in that moment, they are more of a conspiracy theorist than you, technically, because here it is where they're saying you are a conspiracy theorist, but yet at least you have insight and info of what you're working on and showing. And here it is where they just out of the thin air, on some oh, you just wrong out of the thin air because you just, And which sometimes, hey, as I say that, intuitively we can pick up on certain insight and could feel hey, without doing our own research, we could sense that something may be wrong. But again, there's a difference between sensing something could be false and then trying to call somebody a conspiracy theorist without, doing their own research. But the brethren who's the founder of the jet propulsion engine, and just the aspect of him being in the OTO, and in this book, Esoteric Hollywood, just explaining the many connections with, the occult aspects. And again, here it is where the person who's creating this jet engine is also, and again, nothing is wrong with this perspective of hey, they channeling elementals. More so just showing you how, hey, look, they channeling elementals and doing stuff like this and then acting like it's not happening. You know what I'm saying? But here it is. Again, it's in the book Magic Revival by Kenneth Grant, who's also a person in the OTO. They talk about, Parsons. And matter of fact, and even, they don't bring up L. Ron Hubbard, at least I ain't got to that part yet, but explaining how, his wife cheated on him while in the OTO, or at least getting a different little magical partner. And again, shout out to Kenneth Grant, because I don't know if all his books like this, but where he really giving a lot of insiders on the information, and even being open-minded to even say, hey, you never know, he could just be leaking out quote-unquote false information just to be, but again, what clears a lot of that type of stuff up is by doing researching from multiple different places, not only doing your own internal research where you're looking at your own experiences and your own intuitive hunches and insights, but also what else you're researching, you know what I'm saying? And along with that, as you read certain material, again, you could feel your intuition, in the sense of pointing out, hey, you should pay attention to this strongly, or hey, forget that, that's some, bull. But again, it talk about how to channel elemental spirit, and I say how to channel it, and in full detail on that level, but just discussing a few of their little rules or whatever, and bringing up John D. and Edward Kelly. No coincidence that a great book that brings up Enochian magic is written by Lion Milo Duquette, and Lion Milo Duquette is another recent member of the OTO as well. And to me, as I'm just doing my own research, it seems like the OTO was just a setup, whether set up by the government or not. And I say the government is even way over the government head in that sense of it, but like seemed like they were just meant to like be scientists of the metaphysics of dealing with spirits or ghosts or or ghost guides, deities, spirits, however you want to say it. Like their job was to experiment with that and see how that does with the psychic. Because as they telling the story of this other brethren, what's his name? Give me 1 second. Frater Atchett, or Frater Ashad, but it's Frater, and then last name Achad. But this person was expelled from the California Order of the OTO by Aleister Crowley. But it was also said, I'm reading in here where it talks about how he was given the title of being like in so many words, like the Grand Master of a lodge, or like the person that's head of, basically like the master of a temple. But they gave him that title, like as they speaking, like they gave him that title too fast, or in the essence of like he was adept naturally, but he had skipped some steps that was necessarily, and how he almost went crazy. And that's another thing, like hint, hint, wink, wink, like how you just go crazy from just, taking an oath. Like you just taking an oath to become a master of the OTO. As a matter of fact, it's in my little notes right here since I'm bringing it up. It's like psychological effects of taking oath to be the master of the OTO. They talk about like formulate. It was possible that it formulated his mind so that the most trivial, even appears. Oh, so just basically how the trivial aspects of life appears as something that's so big in its meaning, and I done saw that before dealing with psychedelics, And again, and that's from my own experience. Again, that's from my own experience with psychedelics, that I could see how you could have this perspective of like placing a big, again, like where everything is charged up with this, I don't know what they saying, potentialist meaning, but like again, like with this big extravagance, meaning and again, everything does have, a strong meaning in the essence of it, you know what I'm saying? But again, to that point, you wouldn't even be able to live on your human experience if you was making every little single thing such a big monument to that extent, But again, just saying. Talking about working with the air tablet of the Book of Enoch, if I'm not mistaken, because I know they got like a water tablet with some water elementals, again, like evoking, matter of fact, yep, and an opium mag. Yep, same cat, you know what I'm saying? Same cat. So again, this ain't conspiracy. Now, if somebody was arguing against what I'm showing, then they would have to, let me prove how this book is fake and Jay Dyer is a fake author, and Kenneth Grant was a fake author, and you know what I'm saying, and this is the proof. Because on the day he was born, it was said that his mom swapped his body out with another baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, like nothing but evidence, against that. Then it's like, all right, cool, Because in essence, like, that's also, like, when we talk about, spiritual warfare, or like, like witches and warlocks, or, just sorcerers against witches and all this type of energy, in essence, is by understanding ourselves and just again gaining insight from our own experience and perspective. That creates like a level of like protection in essence. Because again, like by reading this and gaining this insight about these types of things, you realize the more and more you gain insight about certain, just gain knowledge in general, let's just say, the more you gain certain knowledge about certain things and wisdom, the more you realize in your life is like a less possibility for ignorant stuff to pop off in your life, or to have like a ignorant, I don't say ignorant like a bad thing, but like a back and forth argument with somebody about information and stuff like that kind of cease to exist the more and more you gain certain insight. Like again, like the more and more I gain insight about health and gain a certain knowing about health and the spiritual connection with it and all this, the less that anybody talking about some type of fake sicknesses, you know what I'm saying, the less possibility for that to even exist in my close proximity. Now, of course, it's still existing out in the world and people thinking that this and that about their health, but for the most part, in my day-to-day, I'm not having conversations of, whether that's real or not. And if I am, it's coming from somebody who's aware that it is fake, and they're asking me, in a sense too, like, almost like they becoming awakened, like they realizing, like, yeah, let me ask somebody who kind of know, about this and could share with me how this shit is fake in that sense. So only from that perspective, but again, it's all connected, Again, the power of having like libraries and having this type of information. Because then again, like then when you see all these types of little people and stuff like that behind these things, then you start to see why it ain't crazy. Again, that accumulation of all the insight, you start to see why it makes sense to not want to take or just because I don't have no other word for it, no vaccines for nobody or all this other type of foolish. See what this cat done? Anglican, let's say, cleric, political, economics, and demographic analysis. Analysts. Could see the word. Who claim natural resources could not sustain his projected population growth. As a result, Malthus projected vast death and destruction, which never materialized. Despite these failed predictions, Malthusians, I guess it's like the followers of him, and eugenicists, to this day continue the doomsday proclamations that never manifest. That's interesting because there's a lot of spiritual people, always professing a doomsday from a fearful perspective, almost similar to this perspective. But, and again, some may just be running on programs that they don't know they're running on, It's just something to be aware of. This philosophy is the origin. Today's globalists who mandate the need for a massive reduction of the global population as one aspect of the British Empire's mythology. Malthusianism was combined, and you see this how things could be like how perspectives could be flipped. Let me show you this. Because say for instance, like on a spiritual level, you know what I'm saying, it would make sense, like, so say for instance, if it was less people who was trying to control everything, you know what I'm saying, and make it seem like like everything's running out on that level, you know what I'm saying? If it was less of those people, so like say for instance with the global population control, this plane of existence has a level of population control. At the same time, it's geared towards, really releasing the problem, the unhealthy aspects. You see, from their perspective, it's almost like they saying like, oh, just kill off anybody without money, but the people without money ain't necessarily, garbage on a soulful level, when the people trying to control things from that perspective is the ones with the, the unhealthy energies, and saying unhealthy for lack of a better word, they playing their part, it is what it is. But again, like, the reduction of population would be, in favor or be pro-life if the people, like say for instance, all the people who trying to make it seem like you gotta use electricity or pay electrical company for electricity, all the people making it seem like you gotta use oil for gas and stuff like that. The world could use less of those beings, you know what I'm saying? Like, so again, and so again, on a natural level, the there is a reduction of population in some way, form, or fashion, but it's from a divine perspective and not man-made or manipulated, and again, not from a perspective of how much coins you got.